I'm your host, your friend, Tamika Johnson.
And I'm your other host, Tim Johnson.
This show is about human experiences. This includes thought provoking conversations and our guests, especially our guests, sharing stories about love, life, journey, and purpose. If this is your first time tuning in, again, welcome. If you're watching on the live or on the replay and you feel inspired, show some love in the chat. This is your inspirational podcast. Today, we have a special guest who are in the tech industry, and currently she's making waves in the clothing industry. So today, the topic is Rise and Rebuild, Business Breakups and Beyond, and she's going to speak to us about her journey. Welcome, Kate. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Welcome. Yes, welcome on the show. I'm glad to have you on because you got a lot of exciting things going on. If you want to tell everybody about your business and your entrepreneurial endeavor.
Sure. I have two businesses. One is a consultant, which helps small businesses, startup businesses, people that need to grow their businesses, can expand, and that is KRE Consultant. And then I have my clothing business that it's a KRE Prime, which, it's more of a e-commerce retail. But, within that, I'm trying to expand where we may have an actual physical location that's in a work. But for now, it's mostly online. And then also trying to be in other retail store. So those are my two businesses that I have right now.
Okay, that's awesome. So I know like I was reading your bio and you were talking about kind of the title is just rebuilding, and how did you decide to get into deciding to be an entrepreneur? Maybe you can start with talking about even just your background career wise.
Sure. Yes. I've done a lot of things over the years. So back in the day, I used to sell. I used to have a store, online store on Amazon and eBay, which went really well. I was actually making a lot of sale to the point where I needed to kind of hire people. But I was young. I was in my early 20s, and I felt like I wasn't really ready, and I didn't want to fail. I hate to fail. I know it is something that you have to learn and grow from it, but I know myself, and I know I wasn't ready at that time to actually try to expand. So I decided to like table it. And then I told myself I would get back to it. And then also I was also working in a full-time career at a site at Wells Fargo, and working on my master. So that was a lot, and it was just too much on my plate. And I just knew I could handle all of it. So I just took a break from it. I would say a year ago when I was going through my divorce, and with that I had a surgery which landed me in a hospital, in emergency room, and I pretty much almost died based on what they told me when I was there. I told myself if I get out of this, if I recover and I didn't die, that I was going to actually start the things that I've put back, that I've kind of put on hold. I was going to actually start doing them instead of waiting, because obviously there's no time. You know, I mean, you can't tell what could happen. So I told myself I'm going to stop putting things on hold and just actually start doing it. So when I went through that whole process, I was, again, I have two little boys, so they're also one of my inspiration because I really want to have something for them. Um, and when I got out of it, I decided that I was going to start back on my business. So I did. I just kind of picked back from where I left, which it's been such a long time that a lot has changed.
Mhm.
A lot has changed. So it basically, I was starting from scratch. So it wasn't like picking back. I was just starting from scratch. So I just did that. And I just decided to do a little different this time so I can hold myself accountable, and not just like put it on put it on hold and come back to it. I wanted it to be something where I'm invest an actual money that I will actually need to work to, get back those money that I put in it, instead of just like a thing where I can just, if I lose a couple of dollars here and there, not a big deal. I went ahead and actually registered my company, get have a I have my title, my what's it called, my trademark register, and all of that costs a lot of money. So I
Yep.
have to hire lawyers, like I have to
Mhm.
do a lot of these things, and spending all those money doing this, I am 100% invested, and I'm gonna see it through. So I know I'm not gonna give up on it because of the fact that I've invested a lot into it. So
That's dope. Couple questions for you. So just to elaborate more into kind of like your thing. So what is that like the progress in the process? Because you said things have changed. So from when you were doing it back when you were 20s to now, we're not going to say your age online, but as you've gotten older, what has that progression been like? And then also like getting into like the trademark and all of those things. So I think this is dope because on this podcast we try to create a platform for people to share that, but then we also give like gems and awareness and knowledge around how to actually do it.
right. Yeah, a lot changed because when I was doing it, I had I had a store on eBay, and I was able to get a store on Amazon, and it was really easy to set up by myself. Like I didn't really need help to set it up. Now I actually have to hire a team that actually build my Amazon store, because I do have a store on Amazon. Like, because of the things that I sell in my product, it's not easy to try to go there and manually create one by one item. Like, that takes a long time. So I actually have to hire a team to actually set it up, build it, map things, so that way I can continue to kind of build onto it. And then and having my website created and set up. So I had to go, because initially I set up the website myself, but within setting up the website, you have to try to connect your website to multiple platform.
Mm.
So I'm connected to Facebook. So for my website, I can do like a marketing to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So you're linked to all this social media platform that wasn't there before when I started my business. That was not a thing. Which now it's like it's a big thing, part of like running a business. You have to have all this social media platform to like connect and reach customer, reach a whole bunch of different audience. So it makes it more complex. And then in all those different tools, you also have to kind of purchase it. Because a lot of them don't. If you get a one that's free, you can only do certain things on it. And if you want to do a lot, you need the ones that actually, cost a little bit of money to be able to link your website and link all the different platforms to it. So yeah, so I'm linked to Walmart, all the, Walmart, Amazon, eBay, shop. So all of it, I need to be able to like have a different application to connect to the site to, put my product out to those different platforms. So yeah, so that's a lot that has changed, because that was not a thing back then. um and with that, and also like setting up like my trademark, it is something, if you go on the United States trademark .gov, I think it's a trademark.gov or whatnot. I have to look that up. But you can kind of like register your own trademark yourself, but they recommend that you do it with a lawyer the first time, so they can make sure they
Mhm.
capture everything. Just because there's so many, it takes a whole year for your trademark to be like acknowledged, for you to, I mean, you can use it once you register and get an ID, but it takes a whole year for them to do all the research, make sure no one else in the whole country can come back and claim that they have been using this.
Sure, sure.
So they have to like send a letter or a news article out there, and that news articles for 6 months, to see if anybody gonna come back and say, hey, I have been using this, and file a claim to you. Because if they do, then you have to file another claim to against whatever they're claiming. So lucky for me, I've done all of it, and it's like it's a waiting game, right? So I'm waiting, making sure no one sent an email telling me they already own this or they've been using it. And I think I got a notification that says congratulations, like 2 days ago. And this has been like over a year now, because I've been like pounding my attorney. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it's a long game. It doesn't take like overnight, just because they have to make sure nobody comes back and file claim against you, and it's yours. And after that, then you don't have to worry about it for 10 years. So I
Mhm.
got a notification that says that I officially have it, but now I need to file like a use statement of use, which is like you file a statement, shows all the different platform and all the different invoices, things that you're doing, product you're creating with your logo, with your trademark, that you have been using it, and this is all the things you've been using it on. So therefore, you're showing them how you've been using it. And once I file that piece, then once that's clear, then I'm officially no, done with all of that trademark thing. And then after, and I think every 10 years you have to go back and do something again. But it's a lot into it. But I would recommend you hire a lawyer. I mean, it's like, I think mine was about 2000 or something like that fee. But I think if you really want to, just invest that money, so you don't have to worry about like anything coming back and you have to keep redoing it, or it doesn't go through. So
Right on.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of for you for entrepreneurship?
the hardest part is balancing. I mean, if you're a mom, or I honestly, I feel like when I was single with no kids and the only person I was responsible for was myself, I felt like it would be so much easier to do
Mhm.
all of this. So whenever I think about it, I'm like, because I have a lot of time. Now I feel like doing it as a parent and having like, and also working, because I didn't mention, but I also work full time. As for financial company in IT. So I also have that, right. And as I'm working on my business, because I don't feel like I'm ready to drop that yet. So that's kind of like my security financially, consistent income. Because I don't want to get rid of my lifestyle yet. So I don't want to struggle financially as I'm doing this. And I know a lot of a lot of people do struggle if this is all you're doing. But again, in my situation, being a single parent and having two kids and having like mortgage and everything else I have to do, I feel like having that security there for now, it makes it easy for me to spend the money that I need to spend to do what I need to do for my business,
Sure.
and invest. And in anywhere where I don't have the time, I'm able to like subcontract somebody to do it. So that way I can continue to, grow the business as I'm also like working and, and finding time for my kids. So I'll say the hardest thing is just finding the time sometimes, because it feels like I work all the time because people tell me that all the time, but I'm always working, just because it's like when you own a business, it never sleeps. You're the owner, so if for in order to it to be successful, you have to be the one doing all the work, because no one else is gonna do it, right? It's not like you can be like, I'm clocking out for 2 days because I'm so tired, and it's gonna do it himself. But ideally, I want to get my business where it would just be able to manage that way, because again, due to technology, I can kind of like kind of make everything flow without physically being there. I get notification, there's something that require my attention right away, I would deal with it. But that's my goal, to just have everything work without me physically always have to be available. But it's gonna take a little time to get there, but time is everything. Yeah.
How do you manage, or how are you managing your work life balance?
Well, I would say that in I would say I try, because with my kids, they like to hang out. They're young, so they like to play, and I intentionally would give a couple hours of just playing with them or watching a movie. And like on the weekends, where I like to have it as like a family day, I will either take my laptop downstairs, put on a movie. We are watching a movie, as I'm doing like some basic stuff that doesn't require too much brain power, so I can kind of manage that, and also like email. And then I put it down and then like engage with them or play games for like an hour. Or I try to find a way to like put things in there. And I usually would put them to bed. So when they go to bed, I get them to bed a little early, like bedtime. Once they fall asleep by 8:30 or 9, then I get back into working. Because I do have supplier and that I work with, that I oversee. So usually I do a lot of my communication with them in the evening,
Mm,
which kind of works out well for me, since I do work during the day with my regular job. So it works out well. So I can contact my supplier, we can talk, communicate till like, I try to do it till midnight, and then I cut it off. So cut off at midnight, so I can like get some rest, go to sleep, so I can reset for the next day. Because if I don't cut it off, they can still, I'll get email or text from them like at 3 in the morning. Obviously that's their daytime and that's my nighttime.
Oh,
So to them, they're still doing business with me. They still need me to respond to me. I'm going to bed because that's my cutoff time. So I usually tell them they need to, like, if they need me to sign something or send anything, they need to be before my midnight. But again, sometimes things take longer. And if they send it to me at 3 in the morning, I will then handle it when I wake up, like, either 7 or 8 in the morning, I'll handle it. So when they wake up, they'll see my response and go from there. Because you got to find a way to like balance that out. But
yeah,
that's what I usually do.
cool.
Yeah. And then I try to take a vacation, which I haven't really done much of it. So, but I usually try to book a week
So what are
where I
some
take the kids and go out somewhere. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What do you do to create, like, what do you do for self care and all that? Because you have to pour into so many things. And, being a single parent, there may not be anything that alleviates you, to create that balance. So, what do you do for yourself, for yourself?
Right. I would say, usually I would say lately though, I've been kind of lacking that. I'm not gonna lie. But I would say when it's like nice out, because when it's cold, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really go out as much as I want to or should. Um, but I would say, I like to, like, meet up with friends here and there, like, either go out for a drink on a Friday night, usually maybe Friday night and
Mhm.
maybe Saturday. Just a dinner and a drink, and just to kind of get away from things. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, like I'm doing too much, and I'm at that point, I'm like, oh my God, I need a break. I would just see which one of my friends is like available to go out for a drink with. And if nobody's available for a drink, then I just binge watch my my Netflix crime show, and it eases me out because of it's. Oh, I should be humble. I'm alive.
Sure.
Facts. That's all you can, like, really ask for at this point. I'm here.
Uh, mm. But yeah, and I need to do better on like
So
self
what?
care for sure. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
So during starting your business, were you going? Were you? And correct me. Did you start it after the divorce and your health issues, or was it during it?
It was definitely after my divorce wasn't final yet, but it wasn't final yet
Mhm.
when I started it. I started after my health. I had to meet with my lawyer, because when you're going through divorce, you really don't want to start something when you're still legally married, because
Sure.
whatever you start
Mhm.
You
will
gotta
be
cure it.
yeah, it become joint because you're married. It's just the law. So because of that reason, I had to kind of prep everything I wanted to do without officially like putting it out there yet. So I waited till probably like June when we had a hearing with the lawyer, with a judge, to establish once you establish a separation date, noted in the divorce. If it wasn't divorceable, we noted it that anything from this date is joint, and anything after this date is separate. So
Mhm.
basically, if you would have gone on and buy any big purchase after the date of separation, it wouldn't I wouldn't be responsible. It's so vice versa. So whatever I started after, we had a separation date that was like noted in this court, that anything I do after this date doesn't impact him. Anything he does after the date doesn't impact me. That's when I decided to officially register my company, because I didn't want to, because I talked to my lawyer, I needed to wait till we have that noted before I go do it. Because otherwise he could come into the divorce and try to claim it, because he also tried that. But luckily I waited for that. Otherwise, I could be battling for another unnecessary thing. so so doing that kind of helped me, because as much as I eagerly wanted to try to start, I needed to kind of patiently wait it for the right time to do it. So but yeah.
Right. This might be kind of personal. You don't have to answer this if you want. It's just like other women, who are forging their way and actually are maybe in the middle of divorce or thinking about it. What would you? Because I know a lot of times you're encouraged to stay in situations, especially if you have children. But what would you say to someone who's just ready to leave and just follow their own path?
Um, I mean, me personally, I always tell people, no matter who they are, because I'm very opinionated sometimes, to leave if it's a bad situation, because I feel like no matter what anyone else says, at the end of the day, you're the one in the
Mm-hmm.
situation. Because one thing I've learned is, when I was going through my divorces, people have different view and opinion because they're not in it. They're only hearing it from one party
Mm.
and the other party, so they are assuming it's not that bad. Because my ex he was the kind of person that make everything to be like nothing. So everything was nothing. So what are you complaining about? Like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
nothing. But unless you were there to witness it, then you're like, oh, it's not nothing. So, which always made me feel like, initially feel like, because when I did my divorce, I didn't tell anybody because I had this feeling if I did, people were trying to talk me out of it because I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. There was babies. You have a babies. You need to. I already knew. I can hear the voices of people telling me this. So I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna file and then let people know, which is what I did. I file and then I just call and message all my friends and family. It's like, hey, I filed for divorce. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, what? I'm like, I already filed. So if you're trying to talk me out of it, too late. It's happened because I've already decided on it. So also if you're having problem and you are having, and you're at that point where you are highly, because I feel like divorce is the last thing you do, right? Usually you want to do canceling. And for me, I tried canceling for a couple years. But canceling only work if two people actually are doing the work.
Mm.
One person can't just be doing it and expect it to be fixed. It's not gonna work. So when I realized that like the canceling wasn't doing anything because he wasn't doing what the canceling wanted us to do, like cancel. Oh, you guys should have more sex. That was the only part that he cared about. Fine, we can have as many sex as we want, but the other problem isn't going to be solved, right? So it's like, well, if that's all you want to do, great. What about these other things? Oh, solve himself. But it didn't. 2 years of like same problem. So at that point, when he refused to do what it needs to be done, I just decided to just file. I gave him preemptive warning about it and hoping he would just don't, trying to fix it. But ultimately, just do what you feel like you should do. You should never stay in a relationship just because people want you to, or for your children. Because I realize that one thing people do and they regret is staying for your kids, because they're gonna get older and they're gonna leave you. And that's one thing I've heard from a lot of people that got divorced when they're in their 60s and their kids an adult is staying for the kids. Because when the kids live, what do you have? You don't have that anymore. So then it felt like you lost all your youth waiting for that, and then they left. So it's like then they live their own life, right? Do their own thing. So it just doesn't make sense for me to like waste my youth over that. So I would say just go ahead and do it. Don't tell people, just do it and then deal with it because you're the only one in the relationship. No one else is.
Right. I think that's good advice. I think a lot of times we forget that, there's two people in the relationship. And a lot of times when we bring in the outside noise, it like
Mm.
muddies that water where it's like, I appreciate y'all concerned, but shouldn't y'all be worried about me?
Right.
Like I'm
That's
hurt
true.
here. Why y'all not worried about me in this relationship that you not in?
Right.
So that's,
Yeah.
that's a great point.
And I would say though, like, because when we got married though, because we were Catholic, and that was one thing that I wanted to get married in church because I wanted that foundation of religion to be involved. Because I felt like it would make us work harder to keep our marriage, not just walk away from it. Even though if he asked him, I just run out, like, but it's not true because I really wanted that foundation of having two parents at home. It's why I have many years of like I could have just gotten pregnant and have a kid, but I chose to wait until I got married to do that. So for me, one of the things that when we did the premarital counseling at with the church, because they require you to do it before you get married in the church, was do not involve people in your marriage. Like if you're having a problem, deal with it together. once you invite like family, friends, it makes it harder because they already know. Now you already tend the other person, the perspective. So unless you really want to, unless it's at the point where where it's bad, like if there's abuse. Okay, when there's abuse, then you need to involve other people because you need help to like get out of an abusive situation.
Right.
But if you're having disagreement here and there, it is not something you're gonna run over and go tell your friends and your family about everything disagreement you have, because it creates this this like this pattern of behavior that this person have, and now everybody has this negative perspective of this person. So no matter what they do, they're always going to be the bad guy in everyone's view. So that's something that I actually hold value, and I didn't do those things. But I felt like I wasn't doing it, but I felt like my partner was doing it, and I'll remind him like, hey, I thought we were supposed to be keeping things between us, but he was doing it behind my back to his family, to my family, which when I found out that it was all about me to my family, that pissed me off. I'm like, why are you going to my family? What is the purpose of it? Because my family, one thing that I would say is they're always behind my back. So I don't know what he was trying to what he was trying to accomplish. So I was like, my family always got my back, no matter what. Like I could have been doing some traveling thing, they still got my back. So you going behind me trying to like, it wasn't gonna work. Like your family maybe, but my family got my back no matter what. So I was like, I was glad. Like I'm like, that was one thing that I would say true. My family always got my back. So whatever he was doing, what he was trying to accomplish, it wouldn't backfire him because ultimately it made them dislike him. So where when they met, even when they started encouraging me to leave him, anyways. So I'm like, you kind of turned them against yourself because you were trying to thinking you were gonna like, I don't know what he was thinking he was gonna accomplish, but it ended backfire on him because now they all dislike him, and initially it wasn't like that. So if you would have just kept all of those, little things that we have in between us, it would have not. We would have probably. I doubt we would have because there was alcohol problem in this. But anyways, there were things that we could have worked out. But I feel like at this point, there's like no savage in anything, no matter what. It's just I'm better off without him. He's not better off without me, but that's his problem.
What's that song? When a woman's fed up. Nah, 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 nah. Lord,
That's true.
Yeah.
no, that's
I like what you said about like, okay, you made the decisions and then you reached out to people for support, like, letting them know what happened because this is what I'm about to go through. And I would say on the other end, as like the people who are supporting, like you have a friend that's going to a divorce, I think, just us on the other end to keep in mind, just support your friend. Whatever the decision they're making, just ask them what they need from you. They might not, they might just need a vent. They might, you never know. So how do you feel that, like, how did you feel supported through going through that process?
I would definitely say, just having people to vent to, like an outlet. I mean, I had a counselor, which I use that as like my venting. So I would talk and just vent about the things the other person is doing, especially when you're going through like, really in a litigation and all these things, and all this legal stuff. Just having someone to vent to, because I feel like there's so much to happen, and if you keep it all yourself, it could create like a depression. And I would say like I'm not a very depressing type of person. If you know me, it's like I'm always trying to find that. I always trying to find the bright side of every situation. So I always tell myself, as long as I'm alive, I'm healthy. I have roof over my head. Like there's nothing for me to be depressed about. But I know like there's people where it's not the same way. They could have everything, they could still be going through depression, right? So I feel like having so much in your head and not having anyone to talk to, or not feeling like you can talk to somebody without being judged, is a lot. Because I would say within my like after going through my divorce, again like during the process separation, my ex partner become more like violent. So then we started like domestic assault, abuse coming in, a verbal abuse, all of that stuff, and like the verbal abuse could be it's a lot because people see verbal abuse as nothing because it's just word. but those words can really tear you down, can really do a lot of damages. One thing that I feel like I've noticed, especially like
they break you.
in
It's
a
a way to
black,
break you down.
yeah, a lot of like I feel like in a lot in like uh, black society, even like black men, I hear a lot from them because they're like, oh, so he verbally, but did he ever hit you? Like just because someone didn't punch you and there's in like his black eye, it's like, oh, so it was nothing. Like I hate when people say that, like you were abused, but I'm like the verbal abuse, the verbally abuse, the emotional abuse is a big thing. Like no one have to punch you physically for you to feel like beat down. But I hate when people say that, like, oh, so even it cost you out. Okay. Like it was not just cussing me out, just because I'm not repeating word for word and all the things that was degrading that he said
Yeah.
to make me feel like crap. It doesn't mean there wasn't abuse. So when people say that to me, it does kind of like it I'm gonna say it kind of messed me a little bit because it's like, oh, like they devalue my feelings and how I felt in that situation because I should be strong enough to put up with all of that. And I can hear you if you say something. Oh no.
I'm gonna get out and come back in.
I see the message.
No, but I think
Timmy,
that's.
can hear me.
Can you hear
You
me?
can hear me fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Okay.
right.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're good. What's up?
You're breaking out a lot, Tamika.
You got to get off that T-Mobile hotspot over there. We got to get you some real 5G internet over there.
I can hear you now.
All right.
I've been off the whole time.
Oh, yeah, you keep freezing up. And I think you're frozen again
Yes.
because you're like,
I think the point that you were just bringing up, just to get back on topic, um, I think what happens is because of like the desensitive, I think it's like being desensitized to like abuse.
mm-hmm.
Folks just think that abuse can only be done if there's like physical marks.
That's
But
true.
on the psychological side of it, on your brain, what it does to you, those words hurt. And I think a lot of times people like try to be like, no, that's not being like words hurt. And then if
Mm-hmm.
said enough, we start to believe it, we internalize
Mm-hmm.
it, and now that weight, those words are stuck on us. So then any other time people might say it in like a joking way or whatever, like that trauma is still there. And those scars are still there and they hurt. So I'm glad that you had brought that up, and thank you for sharing that because I know that is tough to talk about and to relive and go through that. But I think it is important to let folks know, like, if people are yelling at you, they're cussing you out, they're saying derogatory terms toward you, there's a lot of negative talk. We start to have like the negative self-talk, the negative beliefs. That stuff does start to mess with our psyche, and then that goes into other parts of our life where we didn't even think it could be, and it can exist. But that stuff stays with us.
It does. And it destroy people. That's why I have to remember like people literally destroy like people's life can be destroyed based on the word that someone say to them over and over and over. Because once you believe it and you start living it, it's hard to come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then part of my thing is like I studied psychology and I used to counsel people that, was going through domestic abuse when I was doing that. So like so when I hear those things, it kind of like it was put me back into my back in my study days and what I used to do, so then that's part of the reason I didn't take too many things. But when I hear people just dismiss it, and my thought is like, well, when you're used to it, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem our society have, because everybody it's like it's just trauma that we just live with it, that it's just a circle, and you're
Right.
just used to this talk. Your parents talk to each other this way, and you think it's normal. So when you do it, you don't know why. Oh, you're just saying. So I kind of get all of that. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, it may be so, but for me, I'm not willing to keep putting up with that because I know what damages it can do to people. Because not everyone is that strong. Well, Because if you're not strong enough, it can destroy you a lot. So yeah,
But I think
something
it
that
goes
we
back to like
definitely be mindful.
when you were talking at the beginning. I don't even think we need to be strong in that space. You need to leave.
Oh yes, I mean you you do.
Like I think that was a valid point that you had said. If you're not happy, it's not working. Even if the kids are involved, like we'll be able to make that up. Are the kids going to go through something? Sure, because they're used to having both of you guys there. However,
Right.
I can't be the mom that I need to be for you while I'm
Mm-hmm.
in this situation also. So that
Mm-hmm.
is further damage to them.
Right. Right. And I would say this though, one of the main reasons, like
Mhm.
for me, I feel like I do have tough skin, and I could put it up. But one thing that I in my head was the circle. Like I did not want my kids. I have two boys, and I definitely did not want them to think it was okay to talk to people
Yeah.
like that, especially women. Oh man, but I felt like I didn't want them to feel like this is what relationship look like,
Hmm.
because I was like, this is not what it looks like, and I do not want them to grow up thinking that, so that way they can repeat the same circle. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta end there. Like in my head, I'm like, and when I the day that he went aggressive, just say a lot of mean stuff and yelling, and the kids are like, stop that. I went online and I just filed for divorce, paid the 350, whatever it was. I did it like midnight, submit, because I was
Yeah.
like, because I just knew right then that I just have this whole thing run through. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not gonna be mine, and especially my boys. And then I'm like, what kind of person would I be if I let my kids grow up with this kind of behavior? Because he didn't care. So I feel like I have to care for both of us, especially
Right.
for them to not think this is it. So I just went and did it. And then after that, I'm like, all right, I deal with the rest of letting people know the next day. I wait like a couple of days because I wasn't ready to tell anybody, because I
Hmm.
had to process what I've done,
Hmm.
process what happened. And then I went ahead and then kind of have that conversation to call in my families and friends and letting them know, and then listening to their feedbacks. And once you tell people you already did something,
Mhm.
there's nothing else but they can say. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry to hear that. That was pretty much it. Nobody was like, "Oh my God, you need to go back and undo what you did." Because
Right.
I'm like, I already did it. I already paid the money. No going back right now. It's done. But yeah,
Right.
You back with us?
Yes. All right. Are you guys able to see me or hear me?
Yeah,
we
it's like
can
it's
see you.
like delayed laggage, but
Yeah, you're just delay.
Okay. Okay. But you
But
two
can you
can
hear
hear
me
each
though?
other and see each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear. But are you two able to hear each other without delay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all that matters. Yeah, if one of us
I
can. Just,
was thinking
just
because we were
making
like
sure.
neighbor states and you're far away. Maybe that's why.
Maybe it just yes. But no, I mean, hey, I'm really glad that you're like open to like share like talking about domestic violence and sometimes people aren't comfortable talking about it or want to skate around it. But I think as women, we have to get to a place where we talk about it and actually talk about it so as other us as a community supporting each other. I heard something you said like, oh, you were just being verbally abused, or it was just verbal. It's nothing. Or I've heard, I think something that was said to me is, why was I so weak minded? And that always sticks in my head. And just, you guys, we have to be careful. If you've not been in that situation, if you're able to cut it off and you not go down that road, that's amazing. That's great. But no one just starts off cussing you out. And, it's these little things, and it's these little things you let slide. And all of a sudden, you don't know how you got here.
Right.
And
Right.
then it depends on individual people of what we went through, what our background, what our relationships with it's a lot of things, how we grew up, how we experience love, our self-esteem, tons of things. So I know sometimes in our community, we don't understand it. We don't know how you let this happen. I would just say maybe just listen and get educated before judging, because it could happen to anyone. It could happen to
Right.
you. It could happen to your sister. It could happen to, shoot, dudes are getting the brakes beat off them now. So it could happen to your brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say though, and then that's one thing that I kind of struggle with, because I always found myself to be, because I look at myself like, well, for being educated and I've worked in a domestic, abuse where women were
Mm-hmm.
actually, and I actually was canceling this woman, and in my head I'm like, I know all the sign, but even
Mm-hmm.
though, and then there was this lady, she's a counselor that she's a domestic like I guess, and a lawyer, and it's like, even though, or maybe she was a judge, but even though you know all of this, and you get like, oh, I'm very educated and I have all of this, but it's like when you're in an emotional or you're in a relationship where there's like love and all of that, the emotion cloud your judgment, so
Mhm.
you overlook certain things where as an outsider that has no emotion or no feelings toward the situation can see it and capture right away. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it's not because I wasn't intelligent enough to see it. It's because
Right.
I was letting my emotion, take over some of the situation, and I wasn't using my brain. So once I kind of step out of it and just basically use my brain, I'm like, wow, how did I let this stuff happen? Because,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was embarrassing to me because I felt like people thought, the comment, I think I may hear this from like someone that I'm not gonna name. They said, "Well, for being so smart, how can you let that happen?" I'm like, and then that kind of stuck with me a
Yeah.
little bit. And I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie that it did, because I'm like, yeah, for being so smart, how did I let it happen? And I think I repeat that to myself so many days for like a week or so, just like for over a week or two, just it just keep bothering me. Like, how could I be so stupid to let it happen? Because I should know better, And then again, it's like, but that comment from that person really did bother me a lot, because I shouldn't have. I don't know. It's just weird how to express it, because I felt like I should have known better, but I didn't. But then as I sit down and think, because I had my counselor, when I talked, it's like, well, again, when you're in a situation, the emotion part over like clouded your judgment, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not because you're not smart, because you are making decision based on your emotion, not based on your logical part of your brain. So it made it a little bit better just thinking of it that way. Yeah, but I would say it was really hard to like hear that. But yes, people can
Just
be insensitive.
facts. Just a kid Hart said, "So sorry you had to go through it," and then had those comments. You were doing the best that you could, and I think your counselor is right on with that. It's for all like abusive relationships, the love, you're thinking with your heart, you're thinking with your emotions, because
Yeah,
you also still want to be successful in your marriage too. So we forget there's so many variables that are at play when that stuff is happening. And even if you're not married, now because you've heard so much negative stuff, do you have enough self-esteem and self-confidence to then go and try to do something else again? You start to think this is the only person that is for me based off all of the manipulative things that are going on in that situation, in that space and time that you're creating, spending together. So it is hard to be logical in those things until you can get to a free space in your brain to where you can actually process what is happening or what has happened. So it's good that you have the outlet with your therapist, because sometimes we have folks that are unwilling to even seek the help, even though they feel that they need the help because they're afraid to go get that help.
yeah. I recommend getting a counselor. It was because whenever someone says something, or my ex, usually the one that would say something, I would take it back, and it's always nice to put it in a perspective that makes sense to me, because I'm like, okay, because it's easy for him to say things to kind of tear me down, but it was nice to be able to like put it in a different perspective so I can see it, and then I'm like, all right, so it makes the negative put in a positive perspective, so I can see why I shouldn't take whatever they're saying into heart and be able to move past it, because it's hard. You can get stuck on word. Working really, if
Mhm.
you get stuck on word, it can do a lot of damage to you. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
You're manifesting, you're internalizing. There, it's like a word curse. Someone's putting a word curse
yeah.
on you, and you're
Mhm.
manifesting it. And I do like that you're saying, especially, just another Black woman saying, yes, I do recommend counseling and therapists. Yes, you can talk to your friends or this and that, but I think it's good to have a healthy space. A person who's there's bias, like they have no dog in this fight. There's no emotion for them.
Right.
You guys can speak. You can speak to someone, and you can be as transparent. You don't have to hide anything, because sometimes we do hide stuff. We don't tell each other every single thing, but you can be transparent. But you're in a healthy space, and you're going to
Right.
get healthy feedback.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're paying for it, so it better be.
It better be.
That's a valid point too. So, like, if you do have a therapist that is not working and there isn't a therapeutic relationship that
Mhm.
has been developed, you can leave that too.
Yep.
You feel that you have
Go
to stick
find
with
someone
one
else.
therapist if it's not working.
Yep.
100%.
Definitely.
You're not married to anything. You're already trying to get out of something else. You're not married to a situation. You're not married to a situation. Look at it the
I
same
think
way.
I would say though, I think a lot of it is like loyalty. I would say like sometimes we're so loyal to certain things that we struggle to break free from it.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like I have a sense of loyalty, and that's one of the things that when I think back on it, being loyal is a good thing. Being loyal to the wrong thing and the wrong person is a bad thing. So
Right.
having that ability to like distinctly the difference between being loyal to someone that deserves it versus someone that doesn't, it's a struggle, but it's something that I've been working through over the years. So I'm like, I'm not gonna just stay loyal just because I'm loyal. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things that you gotta work on, and that's something that I've learned. Like I've learned a lot about myself,
That's
and
awesome.
I've learned, weaknesses and things that I see myself get into. And even right now, so like even relationship, I say I have some doubt. Like I haven't really like let me get in a relationship because I have a little doubt of myself when it comes to like picking the right person. Because again, it's something that I know I still need to work on. Uh, and also I feel like if I was ready, I probably would be there. But it just no making sure that I'm not overlooking any of those little things that before I just find, oh, it's nothing, it's just a joke. Some of those jokes are just how other people, they project their actual behavior into joke. Because I think that's how my ex was. He joke around a lot, but then as I noticed a pattern, most of those jokes are like how he does, but it does it in like a joking matter. So it minimized situation and things because of it makes it into a joking situation. And that was something that I wasn't used to. So now I have to be more mindful of like when people joke about things that are like serious, I need to like question it. Is it a joke? But what kind of joke is that? you know?
Right.
And I'll just take it like that, So it's a lot of process, but I'm
Hey, there's something
getting
you said about loyalty. I would hope at some point we can normalize being loyal to ourselves.
yes.
Like starting there.
Right.
Once you're loyal to yourself, you'll make the right decisions about other people.
That's
Once you're
true.
loyal to yourself, you're going to have, you were saying those little things that they say as a joke. Being loyal to yourself, you know how you align. Do those things, the things that they're saying, does that align with who I am as a person? Would I even be friends with a person who would say certain things or behave
Right.
in a certain manner?
Right.
So I
That's
think
true.
loyalty is a great attribute, but we got to normalize being loyal to ourselves. If we're not loyal
Right.
to
I
ourselves, how
agree.
are we really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think being loyal to yourself, yeah, that's true. Because I think loyal to other people, it's a thing that kind of destroy you if you're not loyal to the right person. But being loyal to yourself may help you guide you to the right decision too. So the
Mhm.
balance, it's all balance. So I'm working on
It's balance.
balances. Trying to balance everything, because I always believe in like everything in moderation, middle, nothing too far this way or too far down, right or far left. I like to be in the middle. So I call myself Switzerland because I don't take any sizes, just in the middle. So just
But
finding that
sometimes
middle balance.
it's balance. But sometimes you can say, "This is where I stand," and it's
Right,
okay.
right,
It's okay. That's what I think will protect you sometimes. Being true.
right,
That's being your authentic self, as LaBoy
right.
Shake said, and being true to yourself.
Yes, that is
You're
one thing that I would
authentic
say.
you.
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that have kept me this far though. Because if I
Mhm.
wasn't true to myself, I probably would still be in a relationship that I shouldn't be in.
Oh, facts.
Because I feel
Right.
like once I've said that and I see what I promised myself, because I always promised myself, because my mom went through abuse, when my parents separated, all of that. So I was promised myself I would never be in an abusive relationship, and even when I first got into it. And I think it's probably why he never went physical. Because I'm like, the first time any man lay a finger on me, they're out. I do not give second chances to anyone ever put a hand on me. So he never does that. So he just did the verbal. Anything else that was not physical. And then I think that kind of like tripped me off. But once I realized what was happening, I was
Yeah.
like, this is still an abuse. And I don't put up with abuse. You're doing it in a different format because you're not hitting me, because you know what my boundaries are. And that was that. So once I figured the things he was doing to cut around the physical abuse part, I was done. Because I'm like, abuse, my mom went through it. And again, it just the way that, at the how she was brought up, it was just normal, the culture,
Yeah.
because a lot of it's a culture thing. So it's like, oh, in their mind, it's not abuse because it's culturally.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's the
But
same
yeah,
outcome. It destroys people. The same outcome happens even if it's not culture. Isn't that interesting? It's the same outcome of what it
yes,
does to people and what it does to the women and what it does to the children that are watching this or aware of it.
yes.
So I have a question. So going through, okay, this is the first question. Before you filed for divorce, did you already grieve the relationship? Was
Yes.
it was done for you? So actually going through the process, you just was trying to get through it. There wasn't a grieving period. It happened before.
Said that when I filed, I was done. Because I was done, but I would say, when I file, it become real, right?
Mhm.
Like, even though I was done, like once I file and then once I had my first court hearing, it was surreal, because then it make it more real than just like filing.
Right.
So that made it more real, and then at that point, I a little part of me was hoping he would try to make a change, that maybe we can turn things around. But I'm glad that I filed, and I'm glad that things turn out the way it is, because when you file for divorce, you see people true color. Because then I feel like all his anger and all everything that it could be came out.
Mm.
It was opposite what I was hoping it would do. It was so it was a
Yeah.
good thing, because he just showed a whole nother side of him that I had never seen before. So yeah, so it just went from there. But I would say once the divorce got final, when it got final, when the judge signed and said you are officially divorced on this date, it was. I guess I didn't feel anything beside the fact that I was like, yeah, I can go make sure my house is back in my name, own it. I didn't feel any emotion, because by that time, because it's been like drag out for almost 2 years. By that time, I was emotionally, everything was I was done. I just wanted to just get my name off anything that him and me, just separate everything at that point. So at that point, I was just relieved. I was relieved that I no longer have to be held accountable for any of his action. Because there's people who still call me like, hey, your husband is doing this or that. I'm like, we're separated. But again, they're like, you're still married. And that used to annoy me. Just because we're still married
Yeah.
legally doesn't mean like I need to be tied to any of the bad things he was doing. But I was getting calls like that, and I used to know like, oh, yo, your husband doing this. You need to come. I'm not gonna go do nothing. He's a grown man, and we don't live together anymore. So
Yeah.
so yes, I was happy to be cut the cord. It was done. So yeah.
So yeah, and so the reason why I asked did you grieve, because sometimes people are still grieving afterwards. Like, how do you still keep going? What would you suggest to anyone, no matter what their grieving process is? Because sometimes you just, when you're low, you're going through a breakup, you just want to lay down and die, or you're doing the best you can, or you're struggling. What would you say to them, encouragement for them to keep going and pursuing their dreams still in that?
Say though, for me, having my business was a good distraction.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I have nothing else to focus on beside my kids and my business. Like I didn't even care for, even dating or talking to anyone beside my friends. So focusing on my business is a good distraction because they say time heals everything. And it is true. As time goes by, the pain slowly, go away. It's not an overnight thing. Like
Mhm.
if anyone's hoping to like just, no, it's not. I know they say like sometime, get under someone after get off of somebody. That's a saying.
Get on the road.
Some people that works for them, because again,
Yeah.
it's I would say to me, I would say when I first like it wasn't like not a relation, just getting with someone just to like because it's like being with someone for almost over 13 years, the same person, and it was like you don't know yourself or you've lost yourself in that relationship. You
Mhm.
have because you blend everything together. But like I would say like when I first like went with somebody just just because I wanted to just to get out of that hole. This is the only person I've been with. It was different and it was I don't know, it just kind of set me free. Like it was just I felt like it was done. Like now it's over. Like the marriage, everything was over now. I don't know, it just felt like it was over. But I don't
Yeah.
know, some people takes time to get over. But I would say though, since I initiated the divorce, I wanted out. Uh it doesn't mean that because I wanted out it was easy. I think the emotion is all the same because some people think because you initially that means like you don't care anymore, but that's not true. You still care. It just the people in that it just means that you are ready to make the right decision because some people will stay in a bad thing just because it's convenient. I didn't feel like the marriage or anything was convenient anymore. But finding myself being busy doing what I want to do, it's actually a very good way to be like therapeutic, in my opinion. So
Sure.
if you're going through going through it and you're struggling, you're stuck, that's because you're spending all your energy on that thing. So I think
Mhm.
like moving your energy and putting it somewhere else could be a really best use for you. I don't know. I think that would help you.
Yeah.
Anyone else that's going through this, like just move your energy somewhere else and just focus on something else other than your marriage or your relationship that's ending. At this point, it's ending. So there's really nothing you can do about it. So, you know, moving on would just be doing something else that distract you. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Distraction. Good distraction. If it means starting a business, traveling, was a good one. If you have the means to travel, just go somewhere new, meet new people, just do something different that you haven't been doing. So
Right on.
Yeah. Like personal purpose. I know sometimes you're married, you have kids and that your family, but having that personal purpose of finding what brings you joy. I think um sometimes we can lose that.
yes.
So and it looks
Yeah.
like you have found that, just invested in your children and doing the business that you want to make successful. And
Yes.
you should be very proud of yourself. If I
I am.
haven't told you, I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, but you know what? I am glad I'm where I am today. A lot different than a year ago. So it's a journey. And I've always like, life is a journey and it is a journey and you just got to take whatever road you want to, cross over. But it's a journey. You just got to keep going. Open a new chapter every day. So I wake up every day is a new chapter. I just start over every day. So
Awesome. Okay, we have a little game that we like to play with our guest. It's the Divine Honey podcast game, and I'm gonna ask you some questions, and the first thing that comes to mind. So,
okay.
you ready?
I think
It's
so.
nothing crazy. Okay, one word that best describes you.
What? I didn't understand
One
that.
word. Oh, one word that best describes you as a person.
Ambition.
What is your theme song?
My theme song.
Yeah,
Ooh.
what song represents you?
Oh, this is hard because I have a lot of. Is it like song that I like or just?
It can be.
A song. It
You
can be
know,
a song that makes you feel good.
I would say, like the Live Your Life, like, is it by T.I.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Live Your Life. Yeah, by I think Rihanna and T.I. Yeah, that song. It's like, yeah.
What motivates you?
What motivated me?
Mm-hmm.
What motivated me? I would say what motivated me is my sister Tonberry, and I didn't talk about her much, but she's my motivator. Uh, because she was my motivator before I have kids, right? So she's been that one person that motivated me to do everything that I've done or accomplished today. Because I am living my life for me and her, since she can't live her life, but she's my motivator for sure.
So this one goes your personal hero.
Who's my personal hero? My personal
Mm-hmm.
hero will be, honestly, with my sister Tonberry and Oprah. I want to live the Oprah life, make a lot of money, and just have my mentor. Just kidding.
Shout out to
I hear
Oprah.
you. Get you a Stedman. You said you just have a Stedman.
Basically, in my $4 million house. Yes.
And what is your wildest dream?
Ooh, my wildest dream. I guess my wildest dream is, I mean, it's widest because I don't know if it'll ever happen, but it's like to probably have, like, my sister and I go on a vacation together somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
just like the two of us for like a whole month, just to catch up on everything. I mean, that's my wildest dream, but yeah.
I love that. That's a good one. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I want to the legacy I want to leave behind is, I would like for my two boys to really know who I am, who I was, uh, and actually, you know, live my vision. They both know about my business. They talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hire them to do some things and they get excited. They think I own Amazon. I wish.
Straight up though.
So I would like for them to be able to carry out my, even if, the business, and they can expand it and grow it however, you know,
Mm-hmm.
time allows, because with time changes and everything. So I don't know where it will take us, but I'm open to just, changing the way things are, changing what I'm doing. I'm open to, just involving. So I want a legacy where that one day there will be like a sign on a big tall sky building where I have the business logo or name on there, where the boys
Mm-hmm.
can see it. But like, that's my mom's did that.
Yep.
It's a dream. I like to dream big.
Hey, you
You're
got to.
supposed
Got
to. There's no other way. Nope.
to.
Your purpose.
My purpose.
Mm-hmm.
My purpose in life is to help people. I would say helping people have always been my passion. I like to help people, especially people that can't help themselves. People that are less fortunate, or people that are disabled. As I can trying to speak for the less fortunate and disabled people. So helping people is something that I is my passion. Like I always say, if I have all the money in the world, what would I do? I would travel around the world and help people. Actually help people, not just throwing money at people, because throwing money at people doesn't always necessarily. You gotta actually build something that will help people and get people back on their feet. But that's what I would do. Helping people it really is my it's my passion. I don't know. Everything I do is just helping people. Is like in it somehow.
So the last question is what do you want God to say to you once your journey is complete here on earth?
You rock. Come to me.
Come on.
Girl, come up here. Let's catch up on all those years out on the earth.
Ooh. So, Kate, what would you like to leave us with as we wrap this up?
Well, we talked about a lot of different topics, so but I would leave with this. Life is a journey, and I say this all the time, and I truly believe in it. If you're struggling, view your life as a book. Wake up, you open a page, it's blank, so you start over every day. Whatever was bothering you the day before, was going on, let that be yesterday. Today is a new day. Open a new chapter and start writing that day. Write it, fill it up. And again, the next day, just keep flipping. It's just a book, empty book. You just got to keep writing your book, writing your story every day. And that's really what life is. So once you can start doing that, it helps a lot. It helps you let go of things that happened yesterday that could be pissing you out bad. It really helps. And I would say I try to live my life that way. Every day, if I'm really pissed, today is a new day. We open a new chapter. What do I want this chapter, this book, this page, to read? And that's what I'm gonna try to make it to be. So yeah.
Right on.
Tim, do you have any parting words?
If you're going through something, seek help. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask. People are here to support you.
Right. Again, thank you, Kate, and thank you for just sharing these personal things with us. And I'm sure, like you said, you want to help people. I know this is going to help a lot of people. And we appreciate you and hope you come back sometime. So,
well, thanks for having me. I appreciate this. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be.
No. If you guys enjoyed the show, please like and share and hit that notification button on YouTube. You can also listen, follow, and rate on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I will put those links in the comment section. If you are interested, or you know anyone that is interested in being a guest, or if you have any topics that you want us to kind of discuss, you guys email me at bougiegirl@gmail.com. That's BOOSHEGURL@gmail.com. And until next time, you guys, peace and blessings.
Peace.